believe the Denver Broncos just got a triple dose of good news. And I have heard you, Broncos country, not only in the comments of every single video that we do, but also from your emails, your text messages, and your DMs. You want me to stop talking so much about the preseason. So I'm here to deliver. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the regular season, the first 3 games of the regular season. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Now, before we get started, join the live party tonight. Myself and producer Casey on the ones and twos are going live tonight. That is right, 4 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to talk about the latest around Denver Broncos practice, and we're going to preview a little bit of that last preseason football game. So hit that subscribe button, click that bell so you never, ever miss a video or a live stream. Let's talk about the good news. Why? Because there are 3 doses of it. The first one, going in order from week 1 to week 3, is that Cam Ward is not winning any award anytime soon. Why? Well, because he hasn't been playing nearly well enough during this preseason. Less than 50% completion percentage, only 109 yards in the preseason. And get this, he's been fighting with his teammates. There was a massive scuffle reported by multiple different NFL sources saying that Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons got into this brawl at Titans practice. Now, why does this matter? Well, because the Broncos host the Titans week 1 at Mile High, and it'll be Cam Ward's first indoctrination into the NFL. But one Titans player, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who was up close and personal with the fight, said this: you never want to see a quarterback in the middle of those types of things. But when it does happen, it just shows you the level of dog he's got in him, blah, blah, blah. He ain't going to take nothing, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Here's what we need to know from it. He is clearly trying to take initiative, and he might be biting off a little bit more than he can chew. I know that you like to see tenacity from your young quarterbacks, but he's got to remember that he's still a rookie. And just because he plays quarterback doesn't mean that it's necessarily his team to command, especially with the likes of other veteran players who have been doing it at a higher level than he ever has. Now, let's go back to why I believe Cam Ward and how this affects the Broncos are going to give the Broncos a win in preseason week 1. I realize that was a whole mouthful. I got to tell you this, and if you want to put up that big L3 real quick, Casey, that we just did of that Cam Ward take, that'd be great. His mechanics are so much worse than I originally thought. As he was coming out of Miami, there was this nonchalance that he played with. And that's fine. Every quarterback has their own unique style. Bo is a lot more buttoned up, and he looks a lot more mechanically sound than Cam Ward. I watched a full half of Cam Ward playing football. I got to tell you, he's got sloppy mechanics. He's got this weird wind-up thing that he tries to do. And then you could put up that photo that we just put up, Casey, of what it kind of looks like when he's throwing on the run. Now, remember, this might not look that crazy to the untrained eye. But if you want to notice something, look how far out his elbow is flared. That is going to lead to inaccuracy through and through and through. You are taught from a very young age, when you're throwing on the run, you want to keep that elbow slot as tight as possible. He's flaring it out like Randy Johnson throwing a slider. I mean, it's just way, way too sloppy for a rookie to be having. And I look at Brian Callahan, the head coach of the Titans, and I say, how am I seeing this screenshot and you guys not working on this? And I get it, he's an arm talent. He can fit multiple slots with different arm angles. But he's facing no pressure in this throw. He's just throwing on the run. He's got to clean that up. And remember, the Broncos host the Tennessee Titans. And for a rookie coming in as his first NFL game, why does this matter that you're going into Mile High, Empower Field at Mile High? Well, I'll tell you why. Not to rhyme and sound like Dr. Seuss, but it was power ranked as the 5th hardest place to play in the NFL. Per CBS. Not only the elevation, but the ruckus crowd at Mile High is going to be something that I don't think he can overcome. So I've got the Broncos winning this one. I'm typing my DENs. You know I am. The hoodie doesn't lie. Denver Broncos football. But if you're a casual Titans fan who happened to find his way onto the video, and you want to type your TENs, at least defend it in the comment section down below. Let's move on to the second bit of good news, and that being the most recent of the NFL news that we got this morning from Adam Schefter. Welcome, Indiana Jones. That's right, Daniel Jones, named the starter for the Indianapolis Colts. And we're going to touch on that here in just a little bit. But before we do that, my friends, I have to tell you about today's sponsor, and that, of course, is Ethos. Listen, as someone who's about to get married here in 2 weeks and start having kids, life insurance is something that I do not take for granted whatsoever. You've got to start investing in your family, and life insurance is easily the most important investment you can make. Now with Ethos, they're revolutionizing the insurance industry with a 100% online process and can provide protection for you and your loved ones in as little as 10 minutes. They've got no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. They are 100% online and hassle-free, which makes that process easy to apply. And you can get same-day coverage in as easy as 10 minutes without ever leaving your house. So here's what you got to do. You got to go to ethos.com to get your free quote /NFL Daily. So go to ethos.com/NFL Daily. ETHOS.com/NFL Daily for your free quote. Never, ever play about your life insurance when it comes to you or your loved ones. I'll have all of that in the comments and description of today's video. So, again, it just dropped this morning, and I thought this was hysterical because this was news to some people in the Chat Sports office. I didn't have a single thought in my head that Anthony Richardson was going to be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. I just thought there was no way. After they signed Daniel Jones, I knew it was his job to hold on to. But Daniel Jones has been officially named the starting quarterback for their opening matchup against the Miami Dolphins. Overall take, this quarterback room is laughable. I mean, they suck. Like, Anthony Richardson couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Daniel Jones is probably about as mid can get. And he was paid like a QB1. He got that contract extension with the Giants a couple of years ago. I think they feel pretty sorely about giving that to him and not Saquon Barkley. One of those guys has a Super Bowl. I digress. Daniel Jones, though, is nothing to be afraid of. In fact, even though the game is in Indianapolis, I have a feeling that that Broncos defense, that stout Broncos pass rush, is going to make his life a living hell. And then, of course, no Fly Zone 2.0 with Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, and Jahdae Barron. They're going to bring the house to him. Not just with different blitz packages, but try and stop Pat Surtain because he's going to be on Michael Pittman Jr. And Daniel Jones has clearly been struggling to find a bunch of reliable weapons in Indianapolis. To me, this is probably one of the easiest games on the Broncos schedule. And Anthony Richardson, not to beat a dead horse, but he blows. I'm sorry. He's not good. One of the biggest draft busts of all time. Fun fact, did you know that he only completed 47.7% completion percentage last year? Now, keep in mind that players that are at 60% are considered inaccurate. And he was at 47.7%. Like, you can't teach someone to be that bad. It's just ingrained in him naturally. Which is why week 2, when the Broncos travel to Indianapolis, a place that I used to call home, believe it or not, for about a year, it should be a pretty easy W, at least in my opinion, right now. So I'll say and ask you this. I think the Broncos are going to start off 2-0 this season. But what do you think? Yes or no? This should be a very resounding yes. Outside of any major injuries, knock on wood, I don't think the Broncos will have any problems getting through their first 2 opponents. The third opponent's going to be a little bit more difficult. The Los Angeles Chargers, who are a lot more buttoned up under Jim Harbaugh and will actually be a fairly good matchup for the Broncos. However, one bit of news that broke about a couple of weeks ago kind of is working in the Broncos' favor right now. Rashawn Slater, the left tackle for the Los Angeles Chargers, is out for the season. Now, I don't want to seem nearly as jovial about this one because you never, ever want to joke about a player's career, especially when it comes to injury. So I'm never going to laugh at someone for getting injured. But he did sign a massive 4-year, $113 million extension, and he is out for the season. So it is tough. It's very, very tough. That patella tendon is pretty much toast, and he's going to have to go through offseason surgery, and that's going to take him well into next year. And like I said, you never want to root for a player to miss time due to injury. He's a person. He's a man trying to provide for his family. I mean, I'll never go to your office, and if you get sick one day and have to miss a couple of weeks, never once am I going to be like, oh, that allows, another person to take your place and get great results. No, because we're all people at the end of the day. So I always want to make sure that that message comes across in my shows. However, how does it affect the Broncos in a positive way? Because it does. He was ranked as the third best left tackle in the NFL, a major component for this Chargers offensive line and protecting their franchise quarterback, Justin Herbert. So now what happens? Well, they're moving Joe Alt, last year's first-round draft pick, to left tackle, a position he's actually pretty familiar with because he did it at Notre Dame for 3 straight years. But then that right tackle position kind of opens up because that's where Alt was playing. And Trey Pipkins, who's not nearly as good, slides into that right tackle position. So there is an opportunity for this Denver Broncos pass rush to get after Justin Herbert a little bit more than originally anticipated, considering that front 5 for the Chargers is not nearly as good. Third overall out of all left tackles is a very, very high praise from a lot of different NFL sources. So we're wishing him a speedy recovery. However, it's all Broncos all the way. And I believe that because of this major development, that the Broncos, in that matchup against the LA Chargers, traveling to LA, come out with the W. Originally, when I first gave my season prediction, I said they were going to lose that game. Now, I think the tide has turned a little bit. When you lose a starting left tackle, that's a very significant injury. But I'm looking at that and I'm going, W. 3-0 start for the Denver Broncos. Looking pretty tasty right now, but you let me know in the comment section down below. As we end out today's show, a reminder that we are well on our way to 39,000 subscribers here on the channel. We only need 57 more to hit 38,500. So if you love free Denver Broncos content, all season long, off-season, preseason, regular season, postseason, we've got you covered. So hit that subscribe button today. For myself and producer Casey on the ones and twos, a mile-high salute to you, my friends. Be cool.